Wuthering Waves is enjoying its third year of content, and throughout our adventures in La Roy and even Renacida last year, one thing stood out to me. Every single character introduced is relevant to the main plot and has either a big supporting role in the main, with their own side quest, or is one of the main characters. This makes it easy for us to know all of these people, form a bond with them, and remember their contributions even months down the line. This is a stark contrast to what it's like in Huolong, especially during the launch of Wuthering Waves, where only a select few of characters had actual plot relevance, and the rest were either seen a few times to help the main character, seen only once just for exposition, or just not seen at all. Because of this, some characters who we all undoubtedly have in our collection are just relatively unknown when it comes to who they are and what their backstory is. So in this video, I'm gonna take us through the lore of some of these more forgotten playable characters in Wuthering Waves and tell you why they're cool.
This flower is for you. I hope it makes you happy.
The bane of many lost 50/50s. Verina is most definitely in everyone's collection due to being in the standard character pool and even having a dedicated beginner banner, guaranteeing you get her eventually. Flower Girl really is inevitable. Verina, despite being found in Jinzhou, is originally from the New Federation, being a former member of their Pioneer Association expedition team to Huolong. According to Riggs, leader of said team, she was a quiet girl when she joined, never really talking to anyone and worrying the rest of the team because of it. The young botanist never really complained though, whether it was scavenging for food or climbing mountains. She did as she was told and was a big help to the team. However, the biggest memory the team has of her is when she and a teammate got into a shouting match about mushrooms, with her teammate calling himself an expert but filling the pot with poisonous mushrooms, causing Verina to give everyone a lecture on mushrooms and even getting their praise because of it. She still feels embarrassed when thinking about that day, but will always give plant-related tips and opinions. Whenever Verina goes into the wilderness, she goes out of her way to find shortcuts or avoid dangers with the help of her many plant friends. She draws them all in an intricate notebook to note down her journey and share them with her friends. Verina's forte is, as expected, related to plants and flowers. We don't know when her awakening happens because she's always been surrounded by botanical samples and such since her childhood, and was always able to audibly hear their frequencies. It is expected that her forte abilities will only get stronger as she grows older. However, ever since she awakened, vines have emerged from both her ears and even her dorsal spine, so I hope she's getting monitored for future growths, as they should not grow much further.
Oh, time for another afternoon consultation, I see. What's on your mind today?
Taoqi appears so laid back that she might as well be horizontal, despite being very hardworking. The director of border defense at Jinzhou's Ministry of Development, this trustworthy and protective big sister has the goal of making Jinzhou a safe place for all the people to live and thrive in. She's also known as the gossip queen of Jinzhou, due to how many people seek her out for advice and to just be a listening ear for their problems. So she knows all the tea, but actually has zero interest in spreading it. She genuinely just wants to help people through their problems. Taoqi also has a very strict boundary between work and personal life. Whenever she clocks out, exactly on time, she is unreachable for any of her colleagues and heads home. But it's not like she just goes full gremlin mode when home. She meticulously organizes her tasks for the day and only goes to sleep when everything is done. This meticulous flow also transfers to her work life, where she excels in efficiency and attention to detail. This makes her co-workers deem her very reliable. As you might have guessed from her gameplay, Taoqi is very slow and deliberate in her movements. As a child, she used to get bullied for her slowness, but when she grew up, she realized this slowness was a strength, not a weakness. as she now uses it to protect those she loves. This is also seen in her forte, which gives her a very tough and durable skin compared to others. Oh yeah, one of her most prized possessions is a plush Peachy turtle, which she uses during her naps, causing all fatigue to wash away from her as she recharges.
Ranger Danjin, worry not. My Crimson Blade will not harm you as long as you haven't done anything bad.
Midnight Ranger Danjin has literally never featured in any sort of story quest or event so far, despite appearing in the CBT version of Wuthering Waves. And also kinda being one of the most powerful characters in the lore of the game. I'm not even joking. Okay, maybe half joking. Despite being part of the Midnight Rangers, Danjin is rarely if ever seen around her colleagues. This young girl with an immensely strong sense of moral judgment, instilled by her parents at a young age, instead travels the lands in search of the true meaning of right and wrong, cleansing the lands of villainy in the meantime. This sense of moral judgment of hers is very clear whenever she encounters said villainy, where her normally soft and friendly features immediately turn to disgust and a berserk-like rage. Danjin is fearless in battle and cuts down anyone who she deems as evil. Before long, rumors begin to spread of a young girl adorned in crimson, causing villains to disappear without a trace using a vengeful blade made out of her own blood. That last part, despite sounding like pure legendary fiction, is actually true. Danjin literally uses her own blood and the blood of her enemies as a second sword, which is why it takes up a chunk of her HP in-game. This is all related to her first awakening as a Resonator, which was so violent that she almost reached resonant criticality. Her blood entered an explosive state and Danjin lost control of herself. The resulting incident had 0 deaths, but was classed as a Class 2 hazard, so, quite serious. Danjin's resonance ability and risk of overclocking is also closely linked to her mental state, with her often going berserk during mood swings and causing widespread damage to her surroundings, not even looking at who's friend or foe. Because of this, she is being closely monitored and gets counseling often. Her travels are also deeply personal. She isn't just wandering around looking for bandits to, murder. Years ago, her entire family was slaughtered by a group of bandits. While she is already dispatched of those group of lowlifes long ago, she still sees banditry and their associated tragedies happen everywhere. Evil persisted and she's going to put a stop to it. She would sometimes even use herself as bait, appearing defenseless and weak to lure bandits and other evildoers to their doom.
Quit the chit-chat. Tell me what you need and I'll make it for you, provided your descriptions are reasonable.
Mortefi is the current head of the branch of Tacitite Weaponry within the Department of Safety in Huashu Academy in Jinzhou. Yeah, try saying that 4 times in a row. As his name implies, he's not a Jinzhou native, actually being from the New Federation. He was born into the nobility of the New Federation, raised and educated like a nobleman, full of grace and poise. But as he grew up, he learned to despise this world, noting the hypocrisy and indifference in the nobility, and quickly learned to mock and scorn them, in their own way of course. He really only found peace in machinery, tinkering away at mechanical objects. His parents were, surprisingly enough, pretty proud of this, as the New Federation prized itself on its technology. So he gained mentorships, acclaim, and was even sent to prestigious technological events. And it was at one of those events where he met his first real challenge. A young man he hadn't met before showed off nothing short of a masterpiece. A device made of inexpensive materials but performing just as well as the top-notch ones. It was simple and affordable, and basically it was just a stroke of genius. This young man came from Halong, and Mortefi traveled to this place to learn about their technology, eventually landing in Hoshu Academy, where he's actually a favorite among the local children. The most interesting part of Mortefi's appearance is undoubtedly the red dragon-like scales on his arm and the red crystals on his chest. These are, as expected, all parts of his forte as a resonator. He can essentially summon flames via the crystals in his chest and channel them down to his arms, bringing about a mighty spectral dragon to aid him in battle. His resonant spectrum pattern actually aligns closely with the now extinct Dragonkin of Solaris 3, hinting that his past is probably more than meets the eye. Are you enjoying the video so far? Well, consider doing all of these silly YouTube things like leaving a like, leaving a comment with your thoughts about these characters and their lore, or even subscribing if you haven't yet. And if you really like what I'm doing, consider becoming a member for as little as €2 or your regional equivalent per month to get your name featured at the end of every video. Right, let's get back to it.
Greetings, Rover. I will escort you for the time being.
Magistrate Jinshi's biggest simp, I mean loyal and reliable bodyguards. Sanhua is someone we've all encountered during the main quest, but learn quite little about, as she is quickly overshadowed by her boss. But there's so much more to her than meets the eye, pun intended, as she was actually born blind due to an abnormal eye structure, making her early years quite a struggle, until one day tragedy struck. A sudden snowstorm manifested by a wave-worn phenomena completely destroyed her hometown, leaving her as the only survivor who barely escaped the Tacit Discords. The monsters did injure her right eye, causing the erosion from the wave-worn phenomenon to essentially change it and giving her vision, albeit a corrupted and terrifying version. We don't really know how she sees the world, but her cold and emotionless outward personality tells us enough. This tragic event in her youth also caused her awakening. Her powers of frost and ice were immediately visible, as she just emits a chilling cold that makes everyone around her uncomfortable. Well, except for one, but we'll get to that later. Furthermore, as is common with resonators, her forte changes with her mood. Whenever Sanhua is sensing danger, feels anxious, or just becomes defensive, snowflakes appear around her. But because of her constant poker face, it's hard for most people to figure out why exactly she's feeling that way. Jinshi is the only person who Sanhua can see normally, untwisted and pure. This gave her the hope that some good can come from this world, so she decided to dedicate her entire life to the Magistrate, working together with her to create a future they both dream of. Fun fact, Sanhua is pretty good at cooking, especially long buns, which are Jinshi's favorite food, because of course they are. She enjoys trying out new fillings just to see Jinshi react to it. Sanhua also has a soft spot for the Rover, as we are the second person she sees clearly.
Whether you need help with working out or maintaining your health, feel free to come by my gym. We welcome all visitors.
Yuanwu is drip incarnate. I mean, just look at this man. While he may look like some kind of government official or nobleman, he's actually just the owner of a boxing gym. Here he teaches his pupils martial arts and health management, making him a well-liked and respected person in Hualong. Yuanwu is a master in a certain style of martial arts that I am not even going to try to pronounce, which is focused on fast yet powerful swings to overwhelm the enemy, which he amplifies with his lightning forte. Back in the day, he wanted power and used raw force to defeat his enemies. This would eventually be his downfall and cause him to be exiled from his home. This period was marked by reflection, as the young man spent his days mastering his martial arts skills and realizing the true meaning of balance between strength and flexibility. After getting his revenge on the ones who caused his youthful downfall, he decided to travel to the city of Jinzhou, where he would open his boxing gym. Yuanwu's boxing gym has one thing that makes it stand out from all the other martial arts organizations in Jinzhou: comfort. After each training session with his pupils, the old man brews them a pot of tea, made to complement their individual fighting style and to soothe both mind and body. He makes these tea mixes himself and, after taste testing it, shares the formulas with the neighboring tea house. For Yuanwu, it is important to have balance in life. When tired, take a break and enjoy some tea. It's a moment to pause, refresh, and then continue.
I'll handle your commission. Alone.
Calcharo is probably the weirdest character on this list. Because despite being a 1.0 character, he only appears in the climax of Year 2 for like one cutscene. And he also appears in multiple events for the game's anniversary and things like that, as if he's supposed to be a main character. Calcharo hails from the New Federation and is the leader of the Ghost Hounds, an international mercenary group, and is known for being vicious, vengeful, and aggressive due to his past as an exile in his home country. Though he does have a soft spot, giving Verina rare seeds when he comes across them and being known to charge just 1 shell credit to clients that need his services but really can't afford it. Because of his fame, there's also a multitude of rumors about him that may or may not be true, like how he stayed in the desert for a week without water for an ambush, covered himself in bombs for a negotiation, could stop trucks at 12, fought all of the New Federation's cops at 18. His chest is home to dead spirits, and his forehead bears curses of the gods, and flames shoot out of his eyes. Very normal rumors. Calcharo himself does not care for these rumors at all, as they are probably just a bit of a business opportunity for him. His biggest challenge so far was probably when he found himself in Huolong for the first time. There he somehow met Jian and decided to assist the Midnight Rangers in their struggle against the Tacit Discords, in exchange for Jinzhou's support to his company, of course. Business as usual. That is until Jian told him that he stood out too much. Calcharo had to change his attire if he wanted to stay in the region long term. He also learned to speak like the people of Huolong, and his new combat uniform, which he now wears, is functional and flexible, but the decorative ribbons and patterns left him quite confused. But nothing perplexed him more than the unwarranted kindness that he received from the people of Jinzhou. He just knew that this was a secret plot by Jian against him, but his new friend assured him that this was just normal for the people there. Calcharo is now used to the culture of Huolong and often watches their celebrations. He also seems to prefer their military rations. He's even contemplating of basing the Ghost Hounds in the city permanently. Oh yeah, we also still just don't know how he ended up in Renacida to help the Black Shores over there. When looking at all of these characters and their backstories and lore, I can't help but feel like they're being wasted. They all have so many interesting things going on that just begs for more exploration in the form of a main story quest or events. In some aspects, they're even more interesting than characters that got way more screen time. Like, I would love to get a proper quest following Danjin or some weird buddy drama with Yuanwu at his boxing gym. Something that I also noted when going through all of these stories is how often the New Federation is mentioned. This nation got so many references back in the early days that it makes sense why people were heavily expecting the New Federation to actually be the third region instead of Lahai Roi. I'm pretty sure it's slated to be next year's region, so I hope it gives characters like Calcharo some much needed attention. Anyway, I hope this video got you to learn new things about your underleveled characters and gives you the motivation to finally level them like it did to me. Please play dungeons, it's super fun. But who's your favorite character from this video, and who else deserves more attention from Wuthering Waves' story? Let me know in the comments below. And if you enjoyed the video, consider subscribing or even joining the channel, as I post regular deep dives and reviews into the games that I love.